Welcome back to Master 79. In this lesson we are working through ielts speaking part 2 and part 3. Topic 58. Describe an article on health you read in a magazine or on the internet. You will get the full 1-minute planning method, a complete band 9 long turn, and 4 part 3 answers with the language broken down line by line. 2 things before we begin, and please take them seriously. First, the band 9 label. That is our own assessment of this answer against the public ielts band descriptors. It is not a certified examiner score, and no one outside the test can award you a band. Treat it as a target to aim at, not a guarantee. Second, the candidate you are about to hear, Trang, is invented, and so is her story. Copy the technique, the structure, and the language. Do not copy the content. Examiners hear memorized answers constantly, and a memorized answer will cost you marks. Here is how part 2 actually works. The examiner hands you a card with a topic and some prompts. You then get 1 minute to prepare with paper and a pencil, and you should use every second of it. Then you speak for between 1 and 2 minutes. The examiner will not help you, will not react, and will stop you at 2 minutes. Being stopped is completely normal. Stopping yourself early, at 40 seconds, is what damages your score. This is the card, shown exactly as it was printed. 3 prompts: what it was, where you read it, and why you read it. Then the final instruction, and explain how you felt about it. That last line is the one candidates forget, and it is usually where the best language lies. One honest note about the source. The part 3 question reads, how do today's people keep healthy? That phrasing is slightly non-standard English. A native examiner would more naturally say, how do people today keep healthy? We have left it exactly as printed because in a real test your job is to answer the question you are actually asked, not the one you wish you had been asked. Now the 1 minute. Most candidates waste it staring at the card. Here is what to do instead. Write keywords, never sentences, because you cannot read and speak at the same time. Put 1 line against each bullet in the card's order, so the card becomes your route map. Spend the last 15 seconds on the final bullet, because that is where most people run dry. And choose something real. Invented detail is exactly what makes people hesitate. Here is what 1 minute of planning actually looks like on paper. 4 lines, roughly a dozen words in total. Notice that none of it is a sentence. Notice also the last line, rattled, but not preaky, so it changed my behavior. That is a small arc, and an arc is what turns a list of facts into an answer worth listening to. Here is the full long turn. We will take it in 5 chunks so you can see the machinery, and then hear the language points for each one. Listen first for the pace. It is unhurried, and the pauses are where the meaning needs them, not where the speaker has run out of words.
I'd like to talk about an article I came across maybe 6 months ago, and honestly it has stuck with me ever since. It was a long-form piece on a health and science website about sleep, specifically about how chronic sleep deprivation quietly undermines your immune system.
3 things to notice here. I'd like to talk about a clean, unfussy opener came across, stuck with me, natural phrasal verbs. The dash sets up a precise narrowing of topic.
Essentially, it was a science feature built around an interview with a neuroscientist. The central claim was that adults who consistently sleep under 6 hours a night mount a noticeably weaker immune response than people who get 7 or 8, and the writer backs up with a study where volunteers were deliberately exposed to a cold virus. The short sleepers were far more likely to actually fall ill.
3 things to notice here. The central claim was that reporting language backed that up with evidence collocation, complex sentence with an embedded relative clause delivered fluently.
As for where I read it, I stumbled across it on my phone during my commute. I wasn't looking for it at all, it just turned up in my newsfeed, and the headline was provocative enough that I tapped on it and ended up reading the whole thing standing on a packed bus.
3 things to notice here. As for signposts, the move to the next bullet stumbled across, turned up, ended up, idiomatic. Concrete image, a packed bus. Detail buys credibility.
Why did I read it? Guilt, if I'm being honest. At that point, I was routinely going to bed at 1 or 2 in the morning and telling myself I would catch up at the weekend. So the headline hit a nerve. I think I clicked on it half hoping it would let me off the hook, and instead it did precisely the opposite.
3 things to notice here. Rhetorical question, then a one-word answer. Controls pace hit a nerve, let me off the hook. Idioms used correctly. Past continuous for the habitual background.
In terms of how I felt about it, I was a bit rattled, to be blunt. It's one thing to know vaguely that sleep matters, it's quite another to see the mechanism spelled out. What I did appreciate, though, was that it wasn't preachy or alarmist. It simply laid out the evidence and let me draw my own conclusions. And it genuinely changed my behaviour. I now leave my phone in another room at 11, which for someone like me is nothing short of a miracle.
3 things to notice here. It's one thing, it's quite another. A high-value structure, preachy, alarmist, precise, uncommon adjectives. Ends on a light, self-aware note instead of trailing off. That is the complete long turn. Every number on this slide was measured from the audio you just heard, not estimated. Now part 3. The card is gone. The examiner asks broader, more abstract questions connected to the topic, and this section runs for roughly 4 to 5 minutes. The shift is important. Part 2 rewards description, Part 3 rewards opinion, reasoning, and comparison. Short answers are the single biggest problem here. Aim for somewhere between 30 seconds and a minute per question, and always give the reason behind your view. Question first. How do today's people keep healthy? Here is how to approach it. Read it as how do people today, and answer that. Then vs now, incidental activity vs deliberate effort. 3 concrete examples, then 1 twist.
It has changed quite a lot, I'd say. A generation ago, health was largely incidental. People were active because their jobs and their commutes demanded it, not because they had chosen to be. Now it is far more deliberate and far more measured. People pay for gym memberships. They track their steps and their heart rate on a watch. They follow a specific eating pattern, whether that is plant-based, high protein, or intermittent fasting. There is also much more attention to mental health than there used to be. Meditation apps and therapy have become fairly mainstream. The irony, though, is that all this deliberate effort is compensating for lifestyles that are fundamentally sedentary. We are essentially buying back the activity our grandparents got for free.
3 things to notice here. Answers the comparison the question implies, not just a list. Incidental vs deliberate, an organizing contrast. Ends with an original observation, not a summary. Question second. Is it difficult to keep healthy? Here is how to approach it. Split the answer in principle vs in practice. Blame the environment, not willpower. Give the practical implication.
In principle, no. The advice is famously simple: move more, eat mostly whole foods, sleep properly. In practice, it is genuinely hard, and I think that is because the environment is working against you. Ultra-processed food is engineered to be difficult to stop eating, and it is the cheapest and fastest option available. Most jobs keep you sitting for 8 hours, and your phone is designed to hold your attention past midnight. So it is not really a knowledge problem or even a willpower problem, it is a design problem. The people who manage it consistently tend to be the ones who have restructured their environment rather than relying on discipline. They cycle to work, they don't keep snacks in the house, they charge their phone in the hall. Discipline is finite, environment is permanent.
3 things to notice here. In principle, in practice, instant coherent shape engineered to, working against you, strong collocation, short final sentence lands the point cleanly. Question 3rd. Where can people find information about keeping healthy? Here is how to approach it. Don't just list, rank the sources by reliability. Name the real problem, filtering, not finding. Finish with a usable test.
There is no shortage of sources. The difficulty is quality control. At the reliable end, you have public health bodies such as the NHS website or the World Health Organization and peer-reviewed journals if you can navigate them. In the middle, you have serious journalism and doctors who have built a genuine following online. And then at the bottom, you have the wild west of social media, where somebody with no qualifications whatsoever can reach millions of people with something demonstrably false, usually because they are selling a supplement. So I would say the crucial skill now is not finding information, it is filtering it. I always ask 2 questions. What is the source of the underlying claim? And what does this person stand to gain if I believe them? That second question weeds out an awful lot.
3 things to notice here. A ranked structure beats a flat list every time. Quality control, demonstrably false, weeds out. Reframes the question, a band 9 move. Question 4th. Do schools have the responsibility to provide health education? Here is how to approach it. Take a clear position immediately. 1 strong reason, reach plus durability of habits. Consider condition, how it should be done.
Absolutely, and I would argue it is one of the more defensible things we ask schools to do. The reasoning is straightforward. Habits formed in childhood are remarkably durable, and school is the only institution that reaches virtually every child regardless of what their home life looks like. If a child's parents don't cook and don't exercise, school may be the only place that child encounters an alternative. That said, I would want it done properly rather than tokenistically. A single lecture on the food pyramid achieves nothing. What works is practical and repeated, actually cooking the meal, understanding how food labeling and advertising manipulate you, having real physical activity built into the week. And critically, it should not tip into moralizing about body size because it does genuine damage.
3 things to notice here. Position 1st, reason 2nd, condition 3rd, defensible, tokenistically, tip into moralizing. That said, introduces nuance without contradicting yourself. Here is the language worth stealing from the long turn. Take these as patterns with a slot in them, not as fixed phrases. A long-form piece on blank. The central claim was that blank. It hit a nerve. Learn the frame, then drop your own content into it. And here is the part 3 language. The right-hand column is the more valuable one. Those 5 structures will carry almost any abstract question in the test, whatever the topic happens to be. Finally, why this counts as a Band 9 performance. There are 4 criteria, each worth 25% of your speaking score. Read them against the answers you have just heard, and notice that lexical resource is not about using difficult words. It is about using precise ones. Again, this is our assessment against the published descriptors, not a certified examiner score. Here is your challenge. Take the same card, set a timer for 1 minute, and write 4 keyword lines about an article you actually read. Then record yourself speaking for 2 minutes without stopping. Listen back once for content and a second time only for the pauses. Post your 4th line, the how you felt line, in the comments, and I will read them. Subscribe for the next cue card. This has been B Master 79.